As Dusk Falls is a game that sneaks up on you. This isn't to say anything about the game being slow-paced. While the first chapter does take a bit of time to set up the characters and story, it's pretty much the only significant downtime the game ever takes. No, As Dusk Falls lures you in with its intriguing art style and decision-making gameplay, only to suck you into its trap even more efficiently than a Black Widow, due to some of the best video game writing I've seen in years. Two Rock, Arizona is a town filled to the brim with secrets, and absolutely no one is safe here. It's the Wire of video games, not necessarily in one-to-one plot elements, but in its thematic tones and character writing. The developers over at Interior Night have done an absolutely marvelous job at their first ever game, and I cannot wait to see where they go next. The game primarily follows two families, the Holts and the Walkers. Vince Walker and his family are traveling across the country when they encounter the Holt brothers, three lower-class boys who are on the run from a robbery. To give any more context to the story would be a disservice to the clever storytelling done here. There's a really good blend of mystery and exposition, just enough information is given when it needs to be told to keep the player invested without being confused. The characters' voice actors, however, can definitely range. Vince's Elias Toufexis, from Deus Ex fame, delivers in my opinion the best performance of the lot, followed closely by Jane Perry, who portrays Sharon Holt, the mother of the family. Both actors are masters of their craft and deliver a fantastic show. However, the game's other lead, Jay Holt as portrayed by Ryan Nolan, can be a bit shaky. There are moments where Jay's shy and awkward personality are expertly portrayed by the 1917 actor, but when it comes to more raw and moving lines of dialogue, the performance starts to crack. For a character with so many lines of dialogue, it becomes more and more noticeable throughout. All in all though, it's a display that rivals the very best television shows in its shining moments. The art style of the game has definitely been a controversial one, and I understand it. Some compare it to comic books, others relate it to that of games like Disco Elysium. I personally really enjoyed the art style, as my imagination filled the gaps that the art left in its wake. By instead choosing to do something new with the design instead of using more traditional graphics methods, they opened themselves up to more focus on the narrative that was already prevalent to begin with, as well as the eyes of the public for doing something unique. I believe both became positive. I definitely noticed times, however, where there was quite a bit of compression going on in the background. I'm not exactly sure how the development process worked for the team in making the art flow together, but if this was a consequence, it certainly had moments where it came at a cost. When it comes to the choices in the game, it's refreshing just how important they are. One of the most important things when it comes to a game like this is decision influence. If a game where you make choices to determine the outcome never meaningfully changes the outcome, then you failed your audience. There have been a plethora of games in the past decade that have done just this, and it's left a bad taste in the mouths of consumers. Here, however, you can quell those fears. At any time, your choices could knock a character off the board way earlier than intended, and you're gonna have to think about a lot of different choices before just clicking in your first answer. Most of the choices here are morally gray. It isn't just saving the girl or helping yourself, it's protecting your corrupt family or assisting a murderer. The game does a great job at displaying the various characters' motivations and personalities on their sleeves, but it's completely up to you how to mold that into your own design, and your choices really do make a surmountable difference to how the story ends. The game also makes a conscious effort to keep you as informed as possible without spoiling anything. Major decisions are marked as so and remove the timer, allowing you to take however much time you need to deliberate and decide the best course of action. That's not to say they're the only choices that matter, however, just that they're the ones you may not be able to come back from. That is, unless you pop back in at any decision point, which the game allows you to do should you desire. It's a very accessible game for anyone to experiment and play with as they see fit, but I advise taking your first playthrough all the way through without messing with it, just to experience the story as naturally as possible. There's also a multiplayer mode, including the companion app a la Jackbox Games, where players can vote for decisions via their phones, with up to 7 other players joining in on the fun. It's a great way to experience the story with your friends, especially if some of them are not as convinced by the game as others. Why have everyone buy the game when one person can host and they can join? It's also a very easy adventure game to get into, inching towards that visual novel territory but avoiding it with quick time events and occasional areas to explore via options to pick from. You never move your character yourself, only through decisions you make beforehand. That being said, it's a great game for people outside of the gamer sect. For gamers out there with friends who are more akin to TV dramas, they can feel right at home here without needing those hand-eye coordination skills. The sound design and overall score is great as well, further adding to the cinema-like feel of the game. I would, however, have liked a little bit more differentiation from the folky genre of music that seems to be in every decision-based adventure game these days. It's not that I don't enjoy the music or even the genre, it's just beginning to feel like a means to fit in versus a genuine choice to benefit the game. I also wish the games industry could move away from QuickTime events entirely. There are other ways to incorporate suspense in a game without having to mash a button incessantly. While they felt forgiving here, their inclusion is never something I'm going to welcome. It's time for games to leave them in the past where they belong. I'm also not entirely impressed by the game's finale. Without spoiling anything, the game attempts to wrap everything together as quickly as possible while also leaving plenty of room for more, in my opinion taking the latter move way too far. In their first outing, Interior Night forgoes giving the game a proper ending in order to attempt to establish something bigger, and it soured an otherwise amazing experience for me. While I would love an As Dusk Falls sequel, if the game doesn't turn enough profit for them to warrant one, I'll be left with an ending that doesn't do its 6 hours of fantastic storytelling justice, and that's a shame. I have no way to confirm this, but it also felt like a result of budget concerns. Rather than sacrifice game quality, they decided to put together the best ending they could while they obviously had more to tell. The result is a game with a fantastic 5 hours and 50 minutes, followed by an eyebrow-raising 10-minute wrap-up. As Dusk Falls is one of the best narrative adventure games I've played in a long time. Coupled with an enticing multiplayer experience, it's a fantastic way to experience a story on the same caliber as award-winning shows on television. The sprawling amount of choices and branching results that come from them make it enjoyable for even the most casual of gamers. The game does an incredible job at subverting expectations, yet still keeping in line with the rules it operates in. No choice feels inconsequential, and nothing feels like it was supposed to happen either way. While not every facet of the game is the cream of the crop, it's a stunning first showing from talented new developers, and I eagerly wait for whatever comes from them next. For more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time for whatever it is I'm doing next. Alright, see ya.